evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
So, welcome to the another session for practice session for the EDIC part 2. We are going to have another case-based scenario, and this is going to involve a GI system. Fatima, are we all of have arrived, or we are expecting few more?
So we can start the session. More will be joining also. So we can start.
Okay. Guys, as I said last time, I don't know how many of you were there last time. Can I have a response? How many were there last time? Please. You can just say yes, yes, yes. That should be all right. All right. Okay. Great. Last time we had a bit of interesting thing. We made this session more interactive, mainly question and answers, so that we learn from each other. And it's more often than not that when we discuss the things, we tend to remember more. Also, during the discussion, if you guys can pitch in for any questions, extra questions, and feel free to talk about it. Last time, there was one more gentleman who really gave me an updated feature of what I was talking about, and that was much appreciated. We all are experts in our own field and at our own place. We are managing our patients, so obviously everybody have a different way of managing the patients. However, the outcomes is same. I am going to start the case now, and I will really appreciate for every question which is asked. I want at least a couple of answers, so and that would make it more interesting. All right. So again, it's a GI section. So we had this 28-year-old male admitted to the ICU following an intentional paracetamol overdose 3 days ago. His initial vital signs and physical examination showed 102 of heart rate, blood pressure 105 or 55. He was breathing okay, saturating well. GCS was 9. He's severely lethargic. There is an hysterexis coming up. He's got a jaundice. It's markedly icteric clinically. But he did not demonstrate any signs of chronic liver failure or liver disease. We had his laboratory values from which were sent from the EDs. There was 6,500, 5,200. Bilirubin was up. INR was up 4.2. His lactate was high, and he also had raised creatinine. So, seems straightforward. I would like to know what was the diagnosis, what is the diagnosis, and how do we classify this diagnosis? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. This is personal toxicity with King's claim and classified by King's criteria for.
So what was the diagnosis you said? Sorry, I missed that.
Personal toxicity.
Paracetamol tox.
Acute liver failure.
Correct. So that's your diagnosis. So when you're asked the diagnosis, paracetamol toxicity or a poisoning is probably it doesn't come under the diagnosis, right? So when you're talking about a diagnosis, the question is very specific. You need to come to the conclusion that okay, this is what I'm dealing. The diagnosis is acute liver failure. And what's the classification for the diagnosis? Okay, I will give you for the 4 options are there for the question number 2. Which one is it and why? I can go back to the history if somebody wants. So acute liver failure, yes, diagnosis is correct. Where does it comes into? Is it a hyperacute? Is it acute? Is it subacute? Or it's acute and chronic?
It's hyperacute.
All right. And why is that?
We call it hyper because the liver failure occurred just 3 days after the ingestion of paracetamol. I think it's too quick, too early.
Right, but is that the definition of a hyperacute?
I don't know the textbook definition, but I just
right. So no, it is very important, especially when you're talking about liver failure, acute liver failure, to understand the diagnosis, because the prognosis, sometimes the etiology. See, you don't come across this classification in kidney or heart. Nobody has come up with this differential of, oh, let us keep it as a hyperacute kidney failure. You haven't heard of it. There is like a subacute kidney failure. No, it's only in the liver. And when they classify these kind of classification, there is a reason. There is either prognostic reason or there is a treatment related reason. So hence it is very important for us to know why this acute liver failure have been further classified as hyperacute, acute, and subacute. And we need to know that diagnosis, the definition. So the answer is this is a hyperacute liver failure. That's true. But there is a classification which you need to know. It's called as O'Grady's classification, where it is split into the phenotypes based on the onset of encephalopathy after jaundice. So if you see, the GCS of the patient was 9 and he was icterate, and the antecedent event which is recorded was 3 days ago. So this patient has an onset of encephalopathy with jaundice within less than 7 days of presentation. If it's between the 7 to 28 days, it is classified as acute and subacute further on. Now, why also it is important? Because there are few things they got classified that they would present if they deteriorate in that period of time. For example, the paracetamol would become poisoning would usually come as an hyperacute. So if you have an unknown patient who don't know what has happened, whether it's a ischemic, whether it's a viral hepatitis, what are the other differential diagnoses? However, if the history is very well taken, then you can suspect that if it's coming less than 7 days, it is a high likely possibility of the paracetamol or acute viral A hepatitis, not the other ones, because the other ones has a bit of longer course. Now, another thing which we need to know, why we need to know the etiology, is there are few things which kill the patient instantaneously, as in paracetamol, which carries a high risk of cerebral edema, but a better chance of spontaneous recovery if the patient survives the acute phase.